At the peak, this North Scottsdale home was valued at over $1 million. Tomorrow, it's on the auction block after sitting on the market for months. The starting bid, $329,000.
S&P Case-Shiller Home Price Index showed a decrease of 18.7%. The co-creator of the index says this decline may continue for some time.
This time next year, I think housing will be on a positive trajectory, and of course, that's a big plus for the economy.
Mixed bag on the real estate front today, with housing starts falling to their lowest level since 2009 for December, while building permits.
Well, the areas that are going to be more depressed for longer would include the areas that have been hit hard with foreclosures, the obvious areas like Florida, Arizona, Nevada.
You have to look to really kind of read the tea leaves as to where the housing market is headed.
I think we're on the air.
I think, yeah, we are on the air
Saw
now.
the red light. They said, come on in. How you doing, everybody? My name is Steve Rundle with Dwellings Realty Group.
Sean with Praxis Credit Consulting.
Sean, good to see you.
Another day with technical difficulties being rescued.
They always get fixed quick, which is nice. But we're here. We're Arizona Real Estate Radio.
Absolutely.
Usually Andrew is joined in studio with us with the lending company. But he's on vacation this week, which,
Yes.
as you guys know, if you've been listening to the show this week.
I think he's working on his beard.
I think he's going to be gone next week, too. So that should be a pretty nice beard. But all week long, we've been answering questions and talking about really some of the pitfalls of short sales. I mean, it's a perfect topic because I do short sales and Sean does credit and Andrew does lending. And we see these pitfalls all the time. And we see these questions all the time. I mean, honestly, the questions don't change. The people change because there's usually a whole new set of questions.
Yeah, exactly. And it's pretty much the same questions over and over, it
Right.
seems like. And that's why you start kind of getting the answers relatively quickly rolling off your tongue.
Sure. And they're important questions. They're questions and answers that need to get heard by everyone who's coming through our door, you know. It's a pretty big experience, one, to purchase a house or going through something like, and we didn't touch on it, but like, say, identity theft. I mean,
well,
that's a big thing.
Funny you should bring that up because identity theft is one of the next questions that we've got going on.
I've only dealt with it from I guess a hands-off personal perspective. My brother-in-law had his identity lifted. Dude went out, got everything, you know, ran up credit cards, did all kinds of stuff with it, you know, just really messed it up. And I saw how long it took him to kind of get back on his feet. And one of the biggest issues is that he really wasn't looking out for it, and so it wasn't caught right away. I mean, I think the guy, you know, had 3 months of damage.
Right.
And
and 3
before
months
it was
is,
even caught.
3 months is really not that long.
No, it's not.
I mean, because we see people on a regular basis that will have 2-3 years.
Yeah. Oh, well, I know, like, I mean, I'm thinking of my parents, you know, my mom, you know, she doesn't, the only time she talks to her credit or gets new credit or anything like that is if she's
in the mall shopping on sales day.
Right. But see, her credit's already established.
Right.
You know, she's the type of person that pays payments on time. You know, if the bill comes, it's paid. It's usually paid on the day that it came.
Right.
And so she's the type of person where, you know, she has no reason, at least in her mind, she has no business even thinking about what do I need, you know.
She has her standard credit
repair,
cards.
or what do I need, you know, this for. I make money, the bills come in, I send them out, and it's done. I don't overstretch. I always pay my credit cards off all the time. So her limits are high. And so for her to have something happen to her credit, I mean, that's someone who could really rack up a bill because she has a couple cards and whatever, and with high limits. And shoot, I mean, they could use that card for months and months and months.
Right.
Before anyone notices. And I think she's the perfect target.
And that is a perfect target for people that are actually going out to fraudulently steal somebody's identity.
Right.
That is a perfect target because they know that.
Right.
They know that there's not going to be much activity on them checking. They know that there's not going to be a whole lot of really not knowing that part. You just basically change the address and you change the portion, and we can see that very quickly because whenever you have it on your credit report, it's going to show your last few addresses.
Sure.
Or the last few addresses that you took off. I mean, so I recommend that you get as many of those items cleaned off as possible so that you only have
you're speaking
your
you're
personal
saying
address.
Personal address, where you used to reside.
Correct.
So those will stay on your credit report. And there's ways to get those off.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I would say recommend it wherever you're currently living. That's the only address that really should be there.
Right.
Because it's an easy fix if there is not. Because if you have 12 addresses on there,
Right.
and then all of a sudden now you say, hey, guess what? I never lived at this address because my my identity was stolen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now you got to go back through, prove that each one of those different addresses that were there,
Right.
and they're there, and you physically live there. I don't know about you, but I don't keep that much data
No.
that long. I don't have a bill or something stating that, hey, I lived at this particular
Well, I was going to
spot.
say, Sean, how hard or easy is it to get those addresses removed?
The addresses are easy to get removed.
Are they?
Those aren't really hard at all. It is
Even
one of the,
ones that you've lived in, because we see this all the time at Title when we're closing properties. Hey, you sign off as this. Well, no, this was never me. They always have this name that was close to mine, or
Maybe like a middle
misspelled
initial
or something
or-
like that. Right, something that's just a little bit off. And I'm sure the addresses are probably the same way.
correct.
But it's a pretty easy process then to get those off.
Those are really simple. I mean, it is. Again, it's a process.
Right.
But you have to still go back to that 30 to 45 day window
Right.
to get it removed. So if you're looking to buy something in that window, don't.
Well, will that affect? I mean, I know it's just an address, but will it have any effect on your overall credit?
Is it affecting your credit report or dealing with your credit report? Yes, it is.
Is it?
Now, can it cost you your loan? I don't know
Probably
about
not.
removing an address on there. Probably not. But
But
if you have other things going on,
Would it show up like a dispute?
it could, in the fact that if you're challenging anything else on there other than that particular address,
Right.
yes, it would.
Okay.
And I don't know that many people that are sending just the addresses
Right.
to get removed.
Sure.
So, I mean, odds are you're going to really have that additional item being added onto the dispute function as well.
But it's a good tip because, I mean, when you said it, it makes total sense. I mean, that makes sense. Because someone who does steal an identity probably isn't going to have stuff sent to your current address.
Exactly.
They're probably going to use an old address to sign up and then have the mail forwarded.
Or, yeah, exactly. Or they're going to use a new address altogether.
Right, absolutely. And by proof, you're using an old address as whatever commonness that's associated with the credit report and associated with obtaining fraudulent credit.
Right.
So we're talking identity theft. So tell me a little bit more about it. You said you had a question come in.
Okay, so we did have a question come in. It was a couple
Okay.
that came in, and they said that they were trying to buy a house,
Right,
and they had just recently gotten married.
right,
This was kind of a long question, so I'm really summarizing this. So they recently got married. Her credit was fine.
right.
His credit had an identity theft on it.
So he says.
And I do have to admit that a lot of identity theft
Right.
is somewhat suspicious
Is it?
because in my world, I have to go, okay, guess what? If you had identity theft, did you file a police report? If you haven't as of yet, I'm going to conference them directly in so that you say the right things.
Okay.
Well, wait a minute. Wait.
Hold on.
Hold on. What do you mean? Hold on. I mean,
Right.
you just got finished telling me it was identity theft.
Right.
There's certain laws that you have to go. The first one is you have to file a police report.
Right.
Well, what if what if this was my brother that I co-signed for on a lease in Texas?
Right.
I said, well, did you?
That's a pretty specific what if.
He goes, well, maybe. I go, okay, did you? I mean, it's
Right.
not hard, yes or no.
I'm not reporting you to the police. Just tell me.
The only way I can help you is if I
Right.
know. I mean, the more truthful you are with me, the better off I can actually help you.
Exactly.
Well, maybe I did. Okay. Now, who's paying for the debt, you or your brother? Because
Right.
somebody's going to have to get this lease
And probably
resolved
neither of them.
to get it done. So it wasn't identity theft to begin with.
Right.
It was, I just didn't really want to own up to my,
Responsibility.
and I wanted to call it identity theft because I thought I could get away with
Right.
it because we'd be able to fix it.
Right.
Well, again, we follow the laws that are available, not necessarily what the person tells us.
Absolutely.
And that's where the challenge comes in on identity theft.
One thing that just popped into my mind, and I'm thinking of it. When someone mentioned theft, okay, when it's identity theft, we don't initially go to a place where we're like, okay, we need to get the police involved in this. Especially on little stuff. Hey, I got my credit, hijacked, and for whatever reason, I now want to get it taken care of.
Let's define little stuff.
Well, maybe there's just a couple erroneous charges that maybe you lost. Maybe you were, out one night, having a nice dinner, and someone lists your credit card, or you leave it at the restaurant or something like that, and they go out the next day to Best Buy and they buy, a couple $100 worth of stuff.
Now, with that being said, there's a different way to handle that. That's not really identity theft.
Oh.
That's credit card fraud.
Okay.
So if you have that, you go to your bank, and this is where the bank's going to help you, rather than we can't take pot shots here.
We'll see.
But they will actually go and say, okay, you didn't charge this?
Right.
And then their fraud department will go through and identify, hey, guess what? These aren't your signatures. These aren't matching information. And they will pull that off of it and replace the money back for you.
Still same process? Police report?
No police report on that. You just go to your local branch or your bank.
Okay.
And they will then in turn go through the fraud department of their bank.
Got it.
Now, identity theft is whenever your whole identity is stolen.
Just taken.
Taken altogether. Somebody's applied for a credit card, applied for a loan, applied for a lease, did something that you did not physically do.
Well, let me go back to that then. So if same night out, same restaurant, instead of losing my credit card, I lose my wallet. And the next day they go out and they get a Best Buy credit card.
Now it's identity theft.
Now we're going identity theft. It's not just, hey, look, not only did they charge stuff on my card, but they also opened up a new account.
Correct.
With Best Buy or whoever it may have been and bought some stuff on that.
Now you've got two problems. Now you got to go back to your bank.
Now I have a fraud problem and an identity problem.
And identity problem.
Gotcha.
And that's where you have to go through that process there.
So, Sean, on that, and I'm thinking of like the little insurance card that you carry around and for insurance purposes, and you get in an accident. And on the back of that card, they always tell you, if you're in an accident, this is what you should do. Do you guys have anything like that?
We do actually have stuff like that.
That's cool. And I don't know if it's on our website, but maybe that's something we can throw up there.
We can definitely put that up on the website. That's
not a problem. I think
it's
pretty important, and I don't think most people know what to do when they lose their credit card or they they do this or that.
A handbook on identity theft.
Yeah. I would never have known to call the police. We're going to be right back, 602-999-1912 if you have a question, and we'll see you in a few.